guide and replacing the serpentine belt in a 2014 Honda Accord 9th gen. So you want to replace your serpentine belt when you start seeing cracks in between the serpentine belt that are ½ inch. I'm pretty sure, at least that's what I know, ½ inch in between, like this one. So get a serpentine belt. I'd recommend getting a branded one. Step 2 is you want to loosen the lug nuts on your passenger side tire before you jack it up. Step 3, get a jack stand, put it underneath the car. Once you got your jack stand set, don't remove your jack. Just leave it there. Just put a little pressure so you have additional safety. And then you're going to need, you can do it the hard way. You can use two 17mm ratchets, or not ratchets, wrenches, but or a big one and a small one. But easy way is to get a breaker bar, 17mm short socket, and then get an additional leverage, like if you have a jack, you know, that has one of these small handlebars. Put it on the end of your breaker bar and loosen the tension of the belt, and then remove the belt. Now for, I would say, step 5. So remove the wheel, put your wheel to the side. When you get down here, you have more room to put the new belt back on. There's a plastic thing in the way here, as you can see. I don't have the clips anymore for this car, what this car used, and the people that used to have this car, I guess they put back these clips. So I just put a zip tie just to hold it in place for now. Eventually you can get some clips. Now see, as you have access down here, you got your crank pulley, AC compressor there. Wrap it around your crank pulley. Make sure it's in the middle. You don't want it to fly off. Wrap it around your AC pulley over there. Now let's go back up top. So from up here you can see you have alternator pulley right there, and the tensioner pulley right there. So what you want to do is first complete the wrap around your crank pulley as best as you can, as I can say to that. It's gonna go underneath your tensioner pulley right there, and then the last thing you're gonna do is your alternator pulley. So let me do that because I can't do it with one hand. So one of the main reasons it's easier to use this setup with a breaker bar and an extension, whatever you can find, piece of metal, is that when you're putting on the new belt, it's pretty finicky because the new belt, you know, it's trying to bend another way that you don't want it to, and you're kind of gonna have one hand holding this, trying to keep the tension off, and the other hand underneath here literally holding this like this, trying to put it back on. So that's the advantage of this. If you had that, oh man, sucks. So so that way it's a bit easier. It's not easy, but at least it makes life a little bit less difficult. And just make sure they're all centered, you know, on the pulleys, on all pulleys. Look down there, AC pulley centered. I think you can see that. It's right, but centered on the pulley down there in the AC, centered in the pulley in the alternator, centered in the pulley, in the crank pulley, and on the tensioner. And there you go, all set from there. And then when you put the reservoir for the coolant back on, just a little clip thing, and there, as you can see, make sure you clip that back on. You don't want that flying loose. And then of course put on the tire. If you want to put on the tire, it's basically when you put it back on, you want to make a star pattern because you want to make it flat against the wheel bearing here. And before you put it down, tighten it up enough and then put it down, and then turn it back up. If you had a, what do you call this, a wrench with what do they call those, foot-pounds? I can't remember what it's called, but they are tightened, the lugness are tightened to 80 foot-pounds a piece, so I'd recommend doing that because you don't want to over tighten that because you could break the stud. So there you have it. Thank you.